All right, guys, welcome back to the Pursuing Purpose podcast. I'm your host, BC Serna. This is a podcast where we have conversations that we explore something bigger than ourselves and kind of what our story has led us to. We've all know the concept of the pursuit of happiness, which is beautiful and amazing. And through my journey and my walk, I've learned how to change the conversation into something maybe a little bit bigger where we pursue something outside of ourselves, hence pursuing purpose. I'm so thankful and excited for today's guests. Two of my favorite people, Blue Eagle, which is also Charlotte. Welcome. Mm-hmm. Charlotte is a world-renowned gypsy woman.
World-renowned gypsy woman.
And I'm going to leave it at that.
That's all there is to it.
That's all you got, fellas.
She's a shaman, a healer, dog mom, how would you describe her?
Shaman, I think, would be the right
shaman?
word. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, a beacon of light, like just an energy source of light that moves within the realm of our world. And then we have Matt. All right, guys. So
M-A-T-T.
M-A-T-T. Matt is an old friend of mine. We've known each other for a long time. People get us mixed up a lot because we are identical. And he is a storyteller, a filmmaker, inspirational mover and shaker of culture.
I like a guru is good.
A guru. Okay.
And usually the first person on the dance floor.
And he's the first person on the dance floor DJing. So these two humans are kind of a different categories. They're definitely two people you can have separate from, I think, podcast episodes. But we wanted to consolidate two totally different realities and worlds into one so we can make magic, hopefully, and be very casual. I think this is more about having fun because
Totally.
The other night we were all hanging out, playing music, having fun. Andre was there. Andre is our sound guy. Andre is actually one of the most incredible videographer filmmakers, and he's amazing. And he's actually. You come sit down with us, actually. But Blue was saying we should start off with these cards.
Well, I didn't should on you. I'm not all about
You
shitting
didn't say
on
that.
you,
They were
but-
sitting here, and I was like, oh, this could be cool. So these are. Can you explain the cards?
All right. So these are the Animal Spirit deck. I like to pick a card almost every day. And basically, you can just set an intention. You can't pull the wrong card. So based off the law of attraction, you will always get the right card. There's no way of really fucking this up. Give it a shuffle. BC,
Okay.
why don't you start?
Do you shuffle like this or?
Yeah. Like a poker player, why not?
Okay, cool.
And then close
And
your
these
eyes.
are called like spirit cards. What are
They're
these called?
called Animal Spirit
Okay, cool.
cards.
And
And
then-
each one represents a different animal.
And then you go like this.
Sure. Or you can just split the deck wherever you want. Whatever feels true.
Wow.
Okay.
Ooh.
And then I got a dolphin.
That's the best card in the deck. It's
No
my
way.
it's my favorite. That's my biased opinion, but it's my favorite.
I saw dolphins this morning while in the ocean.
Wow.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You are a dolphin. Don't you think he's a dolphin?
You are kind of a dolphin.
I
It's
play in
good.
the ocean a
You
lot,
kinda look
yeah.
like one. Yeah.
Thanks.
You communicate like a dolphin, like high pitched noises.
Yeah. I can't do that.
All right. So while I look for, okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
This is the message from the dolphin
Okay,
for
I'm ready.
our beloved BC. Innately intelligent, a healer, light, and blessings. The gifts of the dolphins are beyond what our human mind can grasp. Dolphin personalities are often drawn to the healing arts as they are sensitive to the subtle and enjoy working on the level of spirit. It's easy for dolphin types to underestimate the impact that they make in the world. These creatures play such an important role in the wheel of karma that coming in contact with a dolphin type will change the entire course of your day, thus your life. This card can also indicate a profound blessing. It's on its way. You're most likely going to get into your beautiful new white van and hit the road. Whoa, this is crazy!
Did you guys set this up?
When in balance, active healer, strong spiritual practice. When out of balance, underestimates your own power. To bring into balance, like-minded spirit. It's a manifestation right here.
I did. I manifested this moment.
Good job.
Wow, that is deep. It didn't say that. That's cool. Like-minded spirits. Yeah, the band's in here? Wow, that's very powerful.
How did it make you feel?
I received that. That's great. I mean, that's really beautiful. Obviously, coming from a very humble person, it's hard to say that this is right, but it is exactly right.
Where in your life do you underestimate your power, BC?
Pick a day. I mean, I struggle with imposter syndrome all the time. I struggle with trying to figure out how to hone these gifts or the position I'm in as a leader, and trying to figure out how to, I don't know, I guess like show up to the world and show up to culture. You know, you have to kind of figure out what culture is doing, and then you have to learn how to adapt to certain things. So. Yeah, I underestimate myself. I mean, everything I think I've ever done, I've like done everything with doubt. I think I've always just been like, I'm not qualified, but I'm going to jump and I'm going to build the plane on the way down kind of thing. And it's always worked. And when you find out it always works, you're like, oh, maybe this works for everything. And it does, right? So,
Leap into the unknown and soon find that it's actually fall into a feather bed.
Yeah. Is this my therapy session? You guys both give me therapy.
Lay on the
I'm
table
like,
now.
We've all gathered here today for you. See?
my therapy session. Okay. Does Matt want to shuffle
Yes,
them?
please.
Yes, it's Matt's turn.
I'll shuffle.
Actually, can you put this
Wait,
back?
give them a shuffle though because they're infused with BC's energy.
No way.
you really?
No.
You got
Is this
jealous.
your
He gets a
form
little
of?
competitive.
Is this how you shuffle?
No.
Okay. This is
This doesn't. This looks dark.
Aww.
The otter.
Aw, so cute. Okay.
that is cute. It actually does look like you because of the hair and the facial hair.
All right. Shall I read it or do you want to read it? Actually, I read the last
Actually, I love when you read because you're British.
Yeah,
And you're really like,
one. Oh, okay.
you like it touches your heart.
It's like, tell us a story, Wendy. Okay. Unobstructed joy, playfulness, and contentment. Perhaps the most joyful creature within the animal spirit deck, the otter represents absolute bliss. Otter energy is the playfulness of a child available to us at any age. They have a giddiness and reverence for life itself, without the presence of doubt, worry, or skepticism. Imagine yourself with a little more otter energy. What would life look like? What would it take to bring you there? The otter card begs these questions and wants to transport us to that precious place as soon as possible. The celebration awaits. When in balance, full of love and needs nothing. When out of balance, gloomy, sighs and makes silly excuses. To bring into balance a dance party or celebration.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like-minded spirits and a dance party and celebration. We're onto something here.
Jeez.
How does that
How did that
hit?
feel?
I mean, a lot of it felt true. A lot of it felt like what I'm trying to access is definitely the play. More and more. Just having more fun. And the dance party is 100% true. Like dance parties is the home. It's like BC and I are dance party masters.
Yeah.
I've actually, have we been on a dance floor together? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well, I think
I've
the three of
heard
us-
actually. No, I've heard your moves have left legacies in the hearts of many.
Well, the way I describe Matt, and I don't know if you've ever been around the way I describe Matt, because people go like, what is it about Matt? How do you love about Matt? And I call you a dad because you're kind of like this dad, because dads have this level of play and confidence, like they made it because they have the wife, the kids, like they kind of made it. And so, dads are usually the first one on the dad joke. It's like a thing, dad jokes.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be funny because the dad doesn't care. But the moment, I loved you for a long time, but the moment I fell in love with you was New Year's in Mexico, remember?
Yeah.
And I'm DJing, Perry's DJing, and we're playing like Travis Scott and like hard like hip hop and like just hardcore hip hop stuff, and the dance floor is bopping. And then Matt comes over and he's like, "Hey, give me the iPhone." And he's like looking up stuff, and in the middle of like a hardcore song where everyone's going, he just clicks "Getting Jiggy with It," Will Smith. And he's like, "Yeah, baby." I was like, "Matt," and I was kind of like, like, "Matt, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Dude, trust me." And then I swear within 10 seconds, the dance floor cleared out and Matt turns around and is just dancing and doesn't realize the dance floor cleared out. Doesn't even care. He just said like he was in his happy place. And I tell that story all the time because it was a moment I was like, that's my fucking hero.
Do you remember this?
You don't remember this?
I don't remember dancing by myself. I thought everybody was dancing.
That you were the only.
I remember it. So, and Perry's like, dude, Travis Scott. I was like, dude, Matt's. And I was like, I'm about it, dude. Because I get too in my head, I think, of like, is everyone enjoying it? Everyone dancing? Yeah. I get too in my head trying to DJ and stuff. And you were just like about it. And it was just like.
So the secret here is sort of even if you had a whole bag of fucks, you still wouldn't give one. It's like completely transmuting the people pleaser energy and just doing it for the feeling.
For sure. Well, I think it's the biggest people pleasing thing to do is to not give a fuck. Everybody loves it, you know.
Yes.
It's the best people to be around are the people that just give no fuck.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, people love it, but it's sort of a paradox because you actually got to move through the people pleaser energy to break out of your shell to then be the one that actually doesn't care, and then from not caring, you then magnetize people to actually be like, "Wow, you're a legend!
Exactly.
This is amazing."
Yeah.
You're like, there's a TED Talk about it. The person who's dancing at the festival. Have you seen that?
Yeah. It
How to
takes
start
one person.
how to start a movement.
Yes, it's always the second person that starts
Yeah.
the movement, not the first one. The
Yeah.
first one is the one that's crazy enough to be on the dance
Yeah.
floor and no one else is. It's the second one that's like, you're onto something here, and then goes joins and then gets the whole
Yeah,
movement.
a whole TED Talk. That was incredible, so powerful, and like, yeah, that's just revolutionary to think about that person that can pave that way in every avenue, but also on a dance floor. One time, me, Thomas, and Matt went to a club in Santa Monica because we just wanted to dance. Went to this club, walked into the middle of the dance floor for 2 or 3 hours, danced, pouring sweat, didn't buy drinks, didn't talk to
Drenched.
girls,
Yeah.
and left. it was freedom.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it was one of the best nights ever.
It was so much fun.
And you fell asleep like that because you're just pouring sweat. It was like a workout. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, and the secretion of your serotonin levels are through the roof, and you're having a great time. And
Is that what
that's-
happens when you dance? I don't even know.
Yeah,
Really?
The serotonin is your happy hormone, and if you dance like at least once a day to start your day, you're going to up your levels of serotonin, so that then every single thing that you touch is coming from a more balanced and happier place, which then
Wow.
in turn reflects that
I
back.
feel like we should dance.
Yeah, yeah, we should. We could, or dance before, or we
before
could.
this.
Yeah, well, we'll keep recording. Keep with the
No,
pod-
but I think that this is a message to at least today at some point before midnight we're going to have a dance party.
Yes,
Oh, I mean, tonight's
that is
definitely going to
correct.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this one book that.
Should we get Blue to pull?
Oh yeah, Blue. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We would love for you to pull one.
Well, was it as an important book?
No. It was on the same conversation, but. Is this your podcast?
Yeah. It is now.
Maddie Pooh and Friends.
The zebra.
You just randomly grabbed
Woo!
All right, Matt, can you read it?
Oh,
I kind of want Blue to read it her own because
Yeah,
she does have a
British.
very tantalizing voice.
Yeah.
the zebra. Okay, got to find it. Say something while I'm finding it.
This book.
Found it.
Zebra. Eccentric, creative, visionary. Zebras are the most precious of gems. They are young at heart, well-cultured, and have an undying curiosity about life. Being in the company of a zebra personality not only is a delight, but also opens our minds. Be prepared. Their potent magic is contagious, and you may soon find yourself in a faraway land, expanding your worldview while having a blast. Zebras also like to contribute to the global health through environmental or volunteer work. This card may be a hint to pack your bags. When in balance, worldly, enthusiastic, fashion-forward. When out of balance, jaded, pouty, and vain. To bring into balance, an epic adventure and art.
Oh, an epic adventure in art.
Woo!
That's literally true. I mean, you tell me. That's literally it. Okay, next. How did that resonate? How did that feel?
Okay, so I love it because it's obviously really beautiful. Eccentric. I love being eccentric. I love scribbling outside of the lines. I feel like I am so attracted to people that are just, again, it's just sort of the first person on the dance floor. People that are just not afraid to be themselves, and eccentric fashion, like the whole thing, like it's so magnetizing for me because I feel like the people that have carved a new humanity are the ones that have been eccentric, the ones that have dared to be different in a world where we are all encouraged to be the same, like going back to us being in school and it all graded from the same grading scale and it's from the same system. To be somebody that's just like, no, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to be a little bit different. I'm going to follow my passion and my purpose and act from that place. So to be called eccentric and creative and as a visionary, I love it. And I feel like my whole life has been catered around that.
I was going to say, your life is, like when you were telling me your story a few weeks ago, I couldn't believe it, like where you come from, that you were in the Air Force. And now you're the Blue that I know. Like it's almost impossible to imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've lived probably a million lives in one lifetime. Like going from being raised in the UK in a very upper class boarding school to being put through the military and then being sent to college in Florida, the contrast, just that in itself was so, I mean, have you seen, I mean, you're American. You know how Americans dance. In England, we don't dance like that. We dance face to face. You know, we're like, yeah, having a good time.
And in Florida,
in America, you walk on the dance floor, someone latches on, all of a sudden you're making babies with clothes on. It's like, what is happening? It's like grinding on me.
Yeah, especially in Florida.
Culture shock.
Yeah.
I was flying planes to like everybody wearing fish t-shirts and flip flops in the nightclub, drinking. You know.
Wait, why
from
did you go to
plastic
school in
cups.
Florida? Was that university?
Yeah, I went to college in Florida for 4 years. My parents had a family home in Florida.
I see.
And then I played tennis there for 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Even that. We played paddle for the first time like a few months ago. It's like, oh, yeah, Blue's
love
coming. It's like,
paddle.
oh, Blue, okay, that's interesting. And you come in and you're just freaking Serena Williams.
Yeah, and looking fit. I remember I only ever seen
Whoa.
Blue.
Dude, she has a boyfriend, bro. They're looking fit.
Okay, fine. No, I've only ever seen Blue in cloaks, like always always in cloaks, like fully covered head to toe and like things. And then I see her at the tennis courts, and I was like, what the heck? Like thighs and muscles and respectfully so. Thighs, muscle. Got a boyfriend. I don't see no ring.
keeps looking back.
That's great. And did you grow up eccentric, or did you always feel it like coming through?
No. I was like good girl, straight edge, always did everything by the books. It wasn't until I like experienced psychedelics was when I was like a little eccentric. I got a little rough around the edges.
That'll do it.
And it's been history ever since, really.
Yeah. Wow. So you just turned 30.
I did.
Matt is 28, turning 29 in
3 months, yeah.
March, yeah. I'm 32. So we're all like on this, like, I'm a little bit older, so.
Wiser, of course.
A little bit wiser. But we're all on this, like, I think this really unique perspective where we've all lived so many chapters and seasons through our lives, right? Like, I mean, same. When I look at my college self, like, if you saw some of the photos of me in college, like, it is hilarious, and you too. I think like it just feels like different lifetimes, and so I think I resonate and connect with you. For a long time, I was the older one of my friends. I think think about this, when I was 28, where you're at now, all you guys were 23, 24, 25. Perry, Amar was probably 21, and
I was 21 right now.
He was.
Oh, right.
So when we all met, we lived together at the Yes House.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and so
I didn't know that.
Well, the original Yes House, it was a different place.
It was still down the street.
Yeah.
But it was just it was different. Like I was like going through what you're going through, but imagine just being surrounded by, young dudes, right? It's like hard. So I think where I'm like so thankful to have you guys now in my life and see you as examples of like still 30 or almost 30 and still playful, still goofy, still fun. I think, and I connect with your guys' energy so much because it is that carefree, eccentric goofiness. Because I think in all three of our work, I mean, your work's a little more playful, but there's sometimes serious notes or inspirational, things. And I think when you're in that realm of inspirational or guru, whatever it is.
Yes. Thank you.
You need more of a beer to be a guru.
Yeah, one day.
But I think the yin and the yang, the contrast of play and purpose is like huge, right?
I mean, it's not about what you do. It's about who you be while you do it that actually gives you the Midas touch. So if we're completely bypassing the joy, our joy of being, if we're bypassing our joy while we're doing something, then we're actually doing it half-heartedly. And if you're doing anything half-heartedly, you may as well not do it at all. Because it's like sitting on a rocking horse and it's giving you something to do, but it's not going to take you anywhere. So essentially our joy is going to constantly evolve like our purpose is. It's not a destination. If we want to find our purpose and be like, oh, I've reached to the mountain and now I found my purpose. It's like, no, your purpose is constantly evolving as you are a constantly evolving individual. And what something may have lit you up 10 years ago, maybe not light you up anymore, but it's a journey of finding the highest excitement and taking choice from that. But there's a quote that I love to say all the time. It's like from a woman from the Black Panthers named Toni Cade Barbara, and she said, "It's the artist's responsibility to make the revolution irresistible." Well, me not loving what I'm doing is not going to be irresistible. So I'm not here to stand on top of the mountains and be like, "This is how you should live your life." But what would it look like if I was living so irresistibly and I was in so much joy that people can't help but ask you questions? and let the movement move from that place.
I feel like, can we just listen to you talk?
Yeah, we're like taking notes. What was the quote?
So you've got to love what you do.
Preach. Yeah.
And that's the
Yeah.
play. I mean, one of the greatest diseases on the planet is over seriousness.
Yeah.
So can we actually activate the eternal child, be in the play, and then infuse our irresistible nature into everything that we create? It will have the Midas touch, and it will be irresistible to everybody that wants to be a part of whatever you create.
Yeah.
It's essential for the well-being of
Totally.
the planet that people are operating from that joy.
Yeah, I think yeah, people get the activism or like to be, changing the world, you have to be a martyr, or you have to suffer and you have to like do, get really tough times. But then you see, I remember I was so relieved when I saw pictures of Martin Luther King playing pool and laughing with his friends and goofing off. I remember seeing that and then hearing about how and then when Selma came out, it was really awesome too. But just hearing how he would joke about, when he was in prison and all that stuff. And he just like had this playful spirit about him. And it was so nice to see. Like, I loved that when I first saw the photos of him playing pool with his friends and just laughing. I was like, that's awesome.
And that's the thing that the three of us have in common, actually. And I think that's why we like hanging out with each other. Choosing friends is so interesting. Like, you come into paths with so many people on a daily basis. Well, maybe not so much due to COVID, but and be like, I like you. Let's hang out more and more and more. I guess we're friends now. Perfect. And it's essentially like we match from essentially our frequency matches, and then we become friends. And I think that that's the common theme that the three of us have. As we met, and then we're like, hey, I like you. Let's hang out more and more and more. And now here we are. The common theme is like not being super over serious and laughing and playing. And yeah, there's a lot going on the planet right now. And simultaneously, how to move through these times, I believe, in our interpersonal lives. How can we bring the play back again, and how can we activate the eternal child and within each other when we're around each other?
Mm-hmm. True that. I think it's a little bit. It's funny because when I started Yes Theory with the guys, it started very much from a place of play. Like we just wanted to have the most epic summer, and so we decided to do 30 things in 30 days that we'd never done before. And every single day was so chaotic and hilarious and just like excruciating, and it was just filled with love. But there was no pressure. Like, it didn't feel like there was anything on the line. I think with work especially, I think where it becomes difficult is when you become responsible for more than just that circle and more than just yourself, and you become responsible for employees, but also like partners and then an audience. And then you're like, wait a second, now there's like all this like pressure of like, having to fit in a certain way. And I think as you grow older, there's obviously more responsibility. And for that reason, like, play is not an accident. Like, it needs to be so intentional, and happiness is not an accident. Like, you have to intentionally find ways to become, to find joy in your own life. And I think where people make the mistake is expecting it to show up. Like, why am I not feeling good? Like, why does this just like, why am I not happy at my job? Why am I not liking what I'm doing? And the reality is because that requires as much work as your actual work is finding that joy. And I think it requires a little bit of like you almost need to like separate yourself from like your life in different quarters almost. It can't all be just like one big mix, because then you get kind of confused. Like, I think you need to go to certain people for this kind of play, and to go to other people for like, more serious conversation, or like, and I think like what you guys provide for me is actually a combination of those two things. Like, I find that we can play, but we can also have like serious, deep talks about, the meaning of life and the universe and all this stuff. And I think that's why I gravitate to both of you so much, because those are actually the best friends when it's more than just that one section. It's like when those sections expand into other sections, and you're like, oh man, there's so much we could do here,
Yeah.
There's a mastery in that. It's like going to the depth of consciousness, the primordial roots of human nature, while simultaneously keeping it light and playful. And that's why Russell Brand, I believe, is so popular and so powerful, because he can bring lightheartedness into the core wounds of humanity. What a skill and what a mastery. Yeah, super inspiring.
Yeah, Russell's one of my heroes, and when I saw him enter this level of consciousness or awareness, and my favorite thing about him is he would just call his own bullshit out. Like, you couldn't attack him because he would just put it out there. And then and people that tried to attack him or say that you used to be a sex addict or a drug addict, he'd be like, yeah, I know. I know, it's crazy. And he's like, I'm working on myself. And he was just like, he's like, I'm part of the charade. Like, he's like, I'm still like part of it. You look at me, I'm making YouTube videos, you know, but yeah, I think there's a frequency and a culture that is unique with people, because I think in our 20s, maybe we were like friends with everyone. It was like, it was quantity, right? It was like, I need to know everyone, network, especially in LA. And it gets really draining, and then you start to be like, okay, who are my like who's really here? Like, if it wasn't the status, because I think a big thing that Matt could probably relate to is then you get the status, right? And then you're like navigating who is real, like who's real at this point, because I have this status, and who's not real. Like, who, if I didn't have any of this, who would still be around?
It's the medicine of the lion. That's why I paint a lot of lions. The medicine of the lion is to be known and respected by many, but known intimately by few. For good reason.
Yeah.
Who do you want those people in your immediate circle to be the ones that reflect you? Because we know ourselves predominantly through the eyes and reflections of others. That comes from when we were, all the way up until the age of 3 years old. We only knew ourselves through the eyes of our mother. If you were doing well, then mum would go, good job, well done. If we weren't doing a great job, I guess then we would know our sense of self based off of the eyes of somebody else. And so when we lose our way, when we lose our joy, when we lose our play, the ones that we turn to, our immediate 5, are they loving us unconditionally, or are they subconsciously judging us and wishing that they had the success that we had? That's why it's not about quantity, it's about the quality, and just being known intimately by few, known and respected by many, the medicine of the lion, but known intimately by few.
Yeah.
I think I agree. And I think what's difficult with content, especially good content, requires like brutal transparency and honesty. And like the videos that we've made, the content that we've made that has hit the hardest and has grown our audience the most is when we show the part of ourselves that we would only actually show to a few people. And so I think that's the sacrifice like great artists actually make, is like, here's my heart, to a complete stranger. And like, please take good care of this, and then I think why so many artists struggle is because they make themselves so vulnerable. And it's definitely something that the guys and I have struggled with for sure. And I think we're still struggling to find like that line, like where's the point where you stop sharing? Like, what is the part of yourself that you only show to those intimate few? And it's interesting because like a friend of mine got really mad at me a few months ago, and she was like, you're hanging out with people that don't actually care about you. Because she had been out, and apparently like there was some drama happening, and I was like, and she came back and she was like, yeah, people just weren't being very nice about like you and the guys, and they barely even know you, and you hang out with them and you have no idea. And I was like, what? Oh my God. I felt like, what?
Reel it in. Yeah.
But reel it in. And that's why I kind of like, more and more as time has gone on, you kind of like start to stop answering some texts. You stop, like responding to some emails, and you start like really investing your time in what matters. And like, I never used to go visit my grandparents. I never used to go visit my family that much when I had time. And now I can't wait to go spend time with my grandma. It's like the one person I know in the whole world that's just going to be there no matter what.
What's her name again?
Helen.
The one in Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you too. I mean,
well, it's a breath of fresh air for your soul and your heart, right? Because it's the utmost unconditional love that exists is through grandparents or family. And I think our biology and our culture, or maybe, but it's like our biology and our culture is basically, I think, programmed in this sense of like kind of like survival, but knowing that they're going to pass someday. And now we're so in search of a lover because we're like, I need to find someone that's going to love me unconditionally, like ASAP. Because if my mom and dad pass, I have no one that loves me unconditionally. And so it's a kind of a dance that people go through, a lot of seeking love and validation, and which I think we all know is it comes from loving ourselves unconditionally and surrendering to that need. And trying to find where that string is tied to. And just, to relate, I one of my heroes, his name's Bob Goff, and he talks about like, imagine being on your deathbed and you look around, there's all these people around your deathbed, and you never once removed your mask and no one really knew who you were. And you're like they're crying, it's just like so scary to think about. And then who is going to be around your deathbed when you do remove your mask and you're fully yourself? And it's at 7 people, it's 8 people. It's a small amount. That's like, these are the ones who were like through me thick and thin, the ones who really knew me, and just the power of that. So, yeah.
I think it's like I dance also. I mean, I don't have as big of an audience as Yes Theory, but my podcast is all me laying my guts out on the table. Like it's as raw and as real as I possibly could get. Like talking about exiting my relationship with my past lover while simultaneously still living with him, and then his new girlfriend, and then them getting pregnant, and like I mean, it's like I talk about all of the insides of my life while simultaneously having a balance of I have 5 close friends that I'm like with, and then I don't really hang out with anybody else. I connect and I co-create, but hanging out or like sharing my own home or my valuable time, our greatest our gift is our attention, our time, our presence. It's the greatest gift we could ever give anybody. And I think using a high level of discernment of being like, does this enrich my spirit or does this deplete my spirit? So instead of like just having loads of people around me that hardly even know me and maybe are even judging me or have an agenda, which can be felt in this space, being like, I have died a million deaths with these people. I know that they will speak my name in a room full of opportunities. I trust these people with my life. Simultaneously, I have a discernment of who I share my energy with in the physical, while online, I open myself up because I have nothing to hide. So it's a dance, and I definitely haven't got it all figured out. But I think that there can be a balance between being deeply authentic while simultaneously being highly discerning with who actually gets your energy in real time.
Totally. And that's great. The discernment's huge. And then try to think about how we can build our own foundation in ourselves, so knowing who we are, and through this and alchemizing it to like not having there 1,000 of people's opinions or haters or trolls or whatever it is, on YouTube, and trying to figure out how do we build and it is within our core community. I remember this is one moment I remember for a long time too, is when me and Matt and the Yes Boys were at this kind of high end party, and these girls or someone was asking what I do, and I was like, oh, I charge bird scooters. and I was telling these girls that I charge scooters for bird. You get like $5 a scooter. Or like that I deliver Uber Eats. Like
but
something.
You weren't actually.
No. Okay. And I was kind of just like because LA, it's all transactional relationships, right? What can I do for you? What can I do for me? And we're trying to get transformative relationships. And so I knew that because it's all about what you do in LA the second you meet someone. And so I was like, okay, if I put the bar here, I'm not interested in what I do at all. Will they stick around and talk, or will they just move on their way? So, but the reason I said that joke was because I knew I was going home with my best friends and we were going to laugh and have fun at home. And so I didn't need any validation from anyone. And I felt so safe. And so I remember being like, these girls can offer me nothing, And
how did they respond?
I remember like you guys were all laughing, like Perry and you were laughing, and then I don't think they were interested. I didn't kiss them. That we were trying to ask. None of them kissed me.
No one.
But I remember it's that security in yourself, security in your community and your friends, those core people, and trying to find that foundation in who you are. I think for younger people listening, I think there's a lot of young 20-year-olds that I was do. It's good to network and like, have that season of your life where you're meeting a lot of people, but always trying to work on yourself. And something I kind of always live by is the bigger the no on the outside, the bigger the yes on the inside. And so I let a lot of people down, like just personally, like there's so many people I have to say no to for lunches. Obviously, you guys all know this. We have to be very valuable of our time. So I say no a lot, and a recovering people pleaser and recovering ego addicts. Like, I'm always like trying to feel like, oh man, like I need, whatever it is, I need this validation, I need this, or I need to people please. And now I've just been learning to like people get mad at me or talk behind my back and be like, man, BC never responds to my texts or this and this. I'm kind of over BC. I'm like, and for me, I'm just like, I know what I need. I know what like help is my health, And so anyway, I'm just still
it's
like.
also a testament of self-love.
Yeah.
Like saying no is saying to the universe, I love myself to have clear boundaries.
Yeah.
To protect my energy. Yeah. And I like to live my life through the motto of it's either a fuck yes or it's a fuck no.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not a fuck yes, I won't say into their face like, fuck no! Sorry.
10 times a day.
That's
a
fuck
coffee
no.
blue? No.
That's a hard no. That's hard no. But like actually utilizing that, I mean, I definitely feel like it's a privilege, but to be able to utilize that as my navigational tool to whether I enroll in something or not, my calendar is full of my highest excitement.
What?
Of my highest excitement. Because I'm not in obligation. Obligatory energy is actually not serving anybody in the situation. You think, well, if I say yes, but then we show up half-heartedness, then we may as well not be there at all. And then they get drained version of BC. And then they're like, why are you even here?
Yeah.
It's not benefiting anybody. So it's like catching it in the moment of being like, oh, am I about to act from people pleaser energy and strengthen that muscle? Or am I about to actually set clear boundaries and then start infiltrating my calendar with only my highest excitement?
Yeah.
That's good.
It's a practice too. Like at first it's so hard to start saying no, but like you were saying earlier, 32, 30 and 28, I think as I'm getting older, I kind of love it. I'm like, I'm sorry, but no, and then you say no a few more times. And then after a while, just kind of like anything becomes a habit. And then that is actually the most important habit that you can form is like really establishing your priorities. Because you also recognize like for both of you, like because you are like exclusive with who you spend time with, it also makes the people that you spend time with realize how like it makes them feel even more important in your life.
And then you can pour so much of your love and your resources and whatever it is that you have from a genuine place of I want to give to you. I love you so much. And your success is my success. Having that as your immediate circle when people are like, when you succeed, my heart beats faster as if I just won to because I did.
Yeah.
So true.
And then you up level exponentially as a group.
Totally.
It becomes so juicy.
Oh, it's the
It's like
best.
irresistible. And that's the nature. That's the default we want to move into.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said something powerful and beautiful over New Year's. You were in Costa Rica, just kind of disconnecting and going inward. And you were like, the reason I want to make money or the reason I want to do really well in my work to make money is because the number one reason your why, if you follow the string all the way back, is because I want to be fully present with people when I'm with them. Right?
Yeah.
And she said that, and I was like, and then that was her end goal. It was like, I want the money and the success and this, so I could feed to the present moment with the person where there is like, I'm talking to you, and I'm not thinking about my schedule tomorrow, my money I need to pay. And that was just so beautiful. I love that. And that's what, yeah. And I think what's so cool, I think another frequency or a judgment of, friendship or what feels healthy is, I think when we're showing up with each other, we don't have to put on a show, it's just completely goofiness. And it's just like, I don't have to think about what I'm going to say or do or try, and
Well, it's exhausting having to think
God.
about every single move or
Yeah.
motion. Like, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And actually, we end up falling in love with the parts of ourselves that are the imperfect, kind of rough around the edges, like imperfectly perfect traits, which
Yeah.
are the traits that we think we've got to hide.
Yeah.
But it's the humanness that we fall in love with, not the polished version, because inauthenticity is not that attractive. Authenticity is extremely attractive. So if you're being authentic while having a breakdown, that's still attractive.
yeah.
As opposed to trying to hide the breakdown and be this version of yourself that's like got it all figured out and be like, that's actually, it's a frequency, it's not the word. It's like, are you?
I am happy. I'm happy to be here. That's good. Yeah, I know, Matt, you definitely, I think earlier last year, you kind of...
I'm so struggling with the mic.
Just give it a little bit more slack.
Should I hold it like this the whole time? Okay.
Let me ask the sound guy. So I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and Matt has a watch that... Is that working?
Yep.
Oh, cool. I wasn't sure if it was like a cool looking thing.
Yeah, just a broken watch.
Yeah. It's a
Actually,
flex.
my grandparents gifted me a watch with no hands on it once. So it's a thing. It could be a thing.
Yeah, there actually is a... Anyway. A squirrely brains. What time? What is time? So Matt, earlier last year, you kind of went through, I think, that moment where I think you get asked to be on podcasts, you get asked to show up to a lot of things and be at a lot of things, which is a blessing because you work so hard for that place at the table. And then I think maybe I remember at one point you started being like, hey, I'm not doing podcasts the rest of 2020. And you kind of had a moment where I think you just got honest with yourself, maybe. I don't know, you want to talk about that? And you kind of wanted to turn back the in front of camera time or?
Yeah. Well, it actually started at the beginning of last year on January 1st, 2020, where, I'd just been struggling a lot with work. I felt like just so overwhelmed by everything. It'd been 4 years since we'd started the project. And I was just so consumed by social media. And I was with my grandparents at the time. And I remember my cousin took a photo with me and my granddad, who was 89 at the time. And I was just like, I had my arm on his shoulder, and I was just so happy to be with him. And she took the photo with my phone, and then she handed me my phone. And I remember holding my phone and being like, I wonder if I posted this on Instagram, how many likes it would get. And I caught myself thinking this, and I was like, this is like such an intimate photo of me and my grandfather. Like, why is my impulse to share this with complete strangers? Like, why do I need to share this with everybody? And I realized, like, in terms of like the presence that you're talking about with people, like social media had completely removed me from being present in everyday interactions with people that I loved. So on January 1st last year, I just decided to permanently delete my Instagram.
Without telling anyone.
Everybody's butthole goes really tight when you're like, oh, he did 300,000 to delete his Instagram like that.
Yeah. And I had worked so hard. I'd been verified. I'd wanted all these things. And I remember coming to the decision, like it was like 2 a.m. on New Year's Day. And I was like, I can't tell anybody I'm doing this. Otherwise, they're going to convince me not to. So I was like, screw it. I'm just going to do it. And that for me was the beginning of what 2020 ended up being. I think for a lot of people, just like a journey inwards, where you as a content creator, as a YouTuber, you lose complete sight of reality in a lot of ways, and it's like a very much this obsessive, surreal state where you're feeding into a machine that will never satisfy you and that will never fulfill you like you hoped it would. And for us, I mean, when we started, like hitting 1 million subscribers and getting millions of views was like, we are the coolest kids on the block. Like if we could do that, I mean, every kid from high school is going to hit me up and be like, yo, Matt, you're the coolest, And for me, that was like, I think subconsciously what I wanted. I just wanted like this sense of belonging and approval that I hadn't necessarily gotten when I was growing up. And then last year when we hit, 5 million subscribers, I was like, this feels like I literally don't feel a thing. In fact, I actually feel worse. And I've heard, famous people talking about this feeling, but you don't actually truly understand it until you get it, and I finally understood. I was like, oh, now I understand what all these people were saying. Like, this doesn't actually matter at all. Mm-hmm. And like, yes, I'm happy with what we've done. I'm so proud of what we built and I want to continue building it, but I have to invest more time in like what genuinely is unconditional, like we talked about. And that's my family. That's my closest friends. And for me, at least, that just required stepping away from videos, which was a hard thing to do because I started making videos, with my 3 best friends. So to remove myself from that was a very difficult and gradual process, and admitting to them that I didn't want to be on camera anymore and didn't want to go on adventures on camera with them anymore and didn't want to interact with the audience as much in that way. It was like death. I felt like I was giving up everything that I'd built for myself, and I wasn't even sure if it was the right decision. Mm-hmm. But in the moment, I just, I was like, I have to just go with my heart. And after that, I kind of spiraled. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? Like now I've given up my career. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do if I'm not hosting videos. Like, who am I if I'm not Matt from Yes Theory? And to me, the decision was actually what I didn't realize at the time was like a test. It was a test with the friendship that I have with the guys. Because they could have easily been like, no, fuck you. Like, you commit to this, you're staying. And if you don't want to commit, then you're out. But they were so empathetic and they were so understanding to the point where when we finally came to the decision that I was going to step away from hosting, I was just sobbing, and both Amar and Thomas just held me, for like 20 minutes in this grieving process. And now, I mean, I just feel more excited than ever for this next phase of who I am. I don't fully know what it looks like yet, but I think this guy, his first name is Ozan, but I think Ozan Razel, he was an astrophysicist or a really successful guy, but he had tenure. He was an astrophysicist, then became a really successful law professor and had tenure, and then quit tenure to become an author. And I was interviewing him for our podcast, and he was explaining, like, all his colleagues were saying, like, how could you possibly quit tenure? Like, that is a guaranteed salary for the rest of your life. Are you out of your mind? And he thought, he was like, am I a quitter? Like, am I crazy? Like, are these people right? But he decided to go through with it. And in the end, he said, in life, I'm always more proud of the times that I've subtracted than the times that I've added. Like, the things that I've subtracted from my life have always meant actually more to me than what I've added to it. And I think maturing and becoming an adult and like growing up and understanding who you really are is actually more of a process of subtraction. You know, because when you're young, you want to do everything and be everything and try everything and do all this stuff. And after you try all this stuff and do all these things, you're like, okay, well, I didn't like 90% of these things, and I didn't really enjoy 90% of these people that I spent time with. But there's this 10% that I think I should dive deeper into. And I think for the three of us, at least right now, it seems like that's what we're doing. You know, we've found that 10% and we said, okay, this feels right. And I mean, even for you, BC, like you got your van. This is something you've wanted to do for a long time. You're like, I think this is right. And, you know, a van is like a physical representation of subtraction. Like, you're removing like your permanent home and just putting it all in one place and being like, this is all I have. And then you don't even know where you're going. You're just setting off. And I think that's so admirable. Like, I've been so supportive of you doing this for some time, and I'm so proud of you for actually going through with it. I think it's so exciting.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's
First
powerful.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
that
wow,
with
man.
us.
Thanks
Really
for
deep.
sharing.
Sure.
That. That's deep. That's really powerful. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I feel like, I think that's obviously me. And then I sent you a picture from this book the other day. It was talking about the layers of purpose that's really hit my heart, and I sent it to you, and you kind of resonated too, that there is just, and you were saying it earlier, it's like there's so many layers to our purpose. It's who we're becoming. It's never what we're doing. It's a very internal, you live your purpose by who you are and how you love people and lead. And I think for me, leaving my dream house and my dream job and like with the mastermind, whatever I'm doing, it's like, and just going to go out, take that leap of faith and just drive into the desert by myself. I'm learning and everyone's like, and I don't even know how I feel about it. Yeah. Like, everyone's like, I don't know what I feel yet. I'm going to drive out into the desert with a saw and some wood and see how I feel and figure it out. But yeah, man, I appreciate that. I love that process you're going through and that death to self. Blues preaches a lot about that and what you do in your work and stuff like that. And I think we all somewhat work with people in helping celebrate these deaths and how there is a rebirth in like the phoenix of our life and the caterpillar into the butterfly of our life. And I always call it like the divine storm, where it's a storm, it's a shit show. There's tornadoes and waves and hurricanes, but it's getting rid of all of the shit. And so, you lost your boyfriend or you lost your job or it like looks icky. One of my best friends, Jess, just lost her house because it caught on fire next door. But now, literally a couple weeks later, there's so much fruit coming from it. But it was really hard when you're going through it. But these divine storms, they have such unique, universal, godlike fingerprints all over them, where it's,
You're also in your Satin Return. Have you heard of Satin Return?
True.
Yeah, a few months ago, my friend told me that.
According to astrology, Satin Return is, there's different ways of approaching it, but approximately between the age of 27 and 30. And it's a birth canal, basically, of a recalibration of anything that is not in alignment with your dharma, of like what you truly, truly came here to bring. And the things we planted at the beginning, for example, like yes theory, it could have been super aligned, and it felt really good, and it was very clearly from a really deep place of a why, from the play and the innocence. And then essentially everything's like a contract, and sometimes the contract comes to complete, and then there's the next phase, there's the next chapter in the book. If something is drawn out and it's now depleting us from the inside out, then Satin Return will do it for you if we're not willing to do it ourselves. And so it will present itself where there'll be like, it's almost like the train changes the tracks and then it'll go off in a different direction. And sometimes it can be very painful and very uncomfortable because we have built an identity around that version of ourselves. And yet simultaneously, if it's 1 degree out of alignment with actually truly what we came here to do as we continue to evolve. Now, 1 degree in the moment doesn't seem like much, but you follow it out for 25 years, all of a sudden you're all the way out here. And so Satin Return will be like anything that is not fully in alignment will go and bring it back for you. And so sometimes it depends how much we surrender to it. But Satin Return can be really painful. And I can't remember who said it, but it was a quote that just always rings true, is that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Suffering is a byproduct of resisting what is. We resist it. No, but it's got to look like this. No, but this is but this is the love of my life. Or this is my job. But life is bringing it in a different degree. It can create a lot of suffering. But to like soften into to trust the feeling beyond what logically makes sense, but to trust the intuition and the intuitive hits, eventually it will lead us to gold. And this is essentially what my TEDx talk is going to be about. It's going to be called The Power of Limitation. It's like having these limitations of these setbacks, but the power that is actually the seed within it if we can soften ourselves up to receive the gift.
Damn. What was your Satin Return like?
What was my excitement?
Your Satin Return?
Oh, well, my Satin Return... How was my Satin Return? Woo!
It was a party.
I was talking to a friend about it the other day, and she was like, I was like, yeah, my Satin Return was like a breeze, you know? And she was like, really? And I was like, yeah, I really did. I feel like I just, lucked out. And she was like, I think it's more your perception of your Satin Return. Because a lot of people would have gone through or could have gone through a similar experience that you went through and not have been like, yeah, it was so good. It was a breeze. And it is also a lot of how we respond to it. If our mindset is set up that this is happening for me, then we are in creative consciousness. If our mind is set up that this is happening to me, then we're in victim consciousness. And victim consciousness can create a lot of suffering because it's external blame. Therefore, we hand our power away to do anything about it. But by being like, this is happening for me, I don't see it right now, but I trust and I have faith. And this is what, being religious or whatever, we have this reference point of something greater than ourselves. And there's a level of trust as to why it's happening for us. So I think that that's also a great mindset to go into Satin Return with, is like, this is happening for me. That will help you move through it much smoother.
Being aware of it, is huge for
being
sure.
aware of it, that there is something greater at play. We're in co-creation. Ultimately, like, if any of us really think that we know what's going on here, let's just zoom out for a second. We're floating on a massive rock, hurling through space at 18.2 million miles an hour, held into orbit by a huge ball of fire. Do any of us really know what the fuck is going on? Okay, cool. So let's just get out of this big ego game that we're playing that I think I know and I've got to have it all figured out. It's like, okay, I'm in co-creation with the creator that created a fucking insect. Have you looked at an insect under a microscope? It's like this quantum computer. Like, look at our bodies. Like, there is something that we're working with here that is profoundly intelligent. Yeah. Can we soften and surrender into, I don't have to have it all figured out?
Yeah, that surrender is powerful.
Look at the stats. 100% of the time. 100% of the time it's worked out up until this point. Has it not? 100% of the time. There's been some challenges and we've got some scrapes, but did it work out? Yes, 100%. So why would I stop questioning that? Why would I stop questioning that statistic now? It doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And so a deep level of trust. My Satin Return, it was pretty gnarly. I don't speak to my parents anymore. That was a part that got to be recalibrated. I feel like that's going to circle back around, but that's just where it's at right now. I got told that I'm going deaf, like the multiple things. I closed my relationship with my partner, my very first boyfriend, and things ended. Like, I let go of the mother tree. Like, there's so many things that happened in that time where it could have been like earth-shatteringly disastrous. And simultaneously, I think that the inner study that I have been doing, the inner work of like actually understanding my inner engineering, has helped me to soften so deeply that they've all turned into superpowers. and gifts, exponential gifts that I carry with me and will carry with me for the rest of my life. So I'm so grateful for Satin Return. People fear Satin Return, but it's like, well, how long you want to play the bullshit game?
You got to deal with your
let's
shit.
just get really real.
Yeah. And so for people listening that's never heard of the Saturn return, look it up. But basically, you're somewhat of your 27th year. It takes Saturn 27 years. It's astrology, so just be open-hearted, open-minded to just receive anything, learn. It takes 27 years for Saturn to be in the exact same spot. And Saturn is extremely bright. And so, yeah, all your shit comes to the surface and you have that year or those couple years to either deal with it because it's all there or you push it away. And that is why there's a thing in Hollywood called the 27 Club, where a lot of celebrities, if you look down this list, whether it's Mac Miller, whether it's, and there's tons, they all die at 27. 27 is this crazy hard year. And it's a big part of Return of Saturn. It's a big part of approaching 30. And so I've been working with 20-year-olds for a decade now. Like when I was 19, I was taking mid 20-year-olds around the world. Like I had them under like my watch. Like I took college students around the world when I was 19. So I've been working with people in their 20s all around the world for a decade. And I've seen the evolution of what it looks like to be approaching 25, to be approaching 30. And then Saturn Return, when I heard about it, I was like, whoa, that is dope. And I've taken into like my repertoire of what I kind of can use to help people understand certain things. But yeah, it's crazy.
It does also like give it context. When we have context, then we can actually like embrace it a little bit more.
Yeah.
When it's just left field and you don't have any context and you don't see, because when the caterpillar turns into the butterfly, it goes into the cocoon, but before it actually turns into the butterfly, it turns to complete mush. It just literally disintegrates into mush. It's like sludge. That's awesome. Right? If the caterpillar had no context that it was actually about to turn into the most beautiful expression it can never even imagine. We're just looking at the mush phase where we're like, oh God, like that's really gnarly, like oh. But actually, it's so beautiful. Like there's beauty in the destruction as well, and this is what we're seeing on the planet.
Hang in there. You're in the mush phase right now. His face is high. Hang in there. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
You're about to be a butterfly.
Yeah. Thanks, I can see it. But anyway, I'm glad we got to kind of talk about this. I feel like we could talk all day. Like this is just fun, and we didn't even like really delve into like what magic blue does, and we could have just kept going. But I want to honor everyone's time. I want to honor your guys' time and just be thankful for it. And maybe there'll be an episode 2 down the future road. Coming at you.
Check. Yeah, we're heading out right now, gotta go away. We about to play tonight with our friends, cause BC is going away, we don't know how long, but it's gonna be a fun time for him all alone. Check.
I love you guys. First of all, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
And we gotta, I think, touch a lot of cool
Ascension!
We disappear in that frame. Thank you all so much for tuning in and watching this and listening. And I hope it touched your heart and gave you something to think about or journal about or reflect on. I hope you can have a conversation with your friends and family about these kind of topics, and reach out if you have any questions. And I hope you know you are loved and you are supported and seen and amazing, and you're right where you need to be as you lean into these emotions. I know if you're listening to a podcast called Pursuing Purpose, you're probably on quite the journey of adventure within yourself and around yourself. And so, yeah, I hope your heart and your soul found some rest and peace within this hour segment. And thank you so much for tuning in. I love you guys. Blue and Matt's information will be below. Besides that, well, Matt doesn't have any information. I'll put his phone number. Can I put your phone number?
Incognito.
Okay. Love you guys. Thank you.